This is John Colo with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, we're going to talk about why the raw vegan diet works. But before I do, I want to share with you guys a story. So this morning I was working on some metal. I was filing metal and some sharp metal pieces, and I cut myself. And then when I cut myself, I noticed my middle finger right here was all bloody. You could kind of see the blood marks on it, the dried blood marks. And I'm like, okay, it's bloody. So I took some liquid bandage stuff and bandaged over where I thought it was bleeding. And then I come back and I'm like, oh man, that's not it. It was over here. So then I wipe it off and I put liquid bandage there. And then I come back and now it's bleeding over here. And I'm like, what the hell? There were micro tears in my skin because of the fine metal shavings I was dealing with. That I'm bleeding everywhere. And this happened 3 times, and I kept going man, I'm bleeding in this finger, but I can't find where it is. And I finally put a Band-Aid on it, right? I put a Band-Aid on it, and then it's bleeding above the Band-Aid. I'm like, what the heck? I'm just popping new holes in me or something. And then I'm like, I pull the Band-Aid off oh, it's not even bloody underneath there. And then finally I look, and it was actually this finger, my pointer finger, not my middle finger was bleeding. My pointer finger was bleeding right there. And when it would brush up against my middle finger, that would make me think that the middle finger was the culprit. The middle finger's bleeding because that's where I see the blood. I didn't look on this finger to see the blood over here, right? And that's what this talk is about, right? Does the raw vegan diet work because it's raw? Is that the main reason why it works, right? I want you guys to uncover the truth about why the raw vegan diet works. And to me, the raw vegan diet doesn't work because it's just raw. There are many other factors that make the raw vegan diet work. And I want to give thanks out and props to Dr. Jameis Sheridan, who I heard in Sedona, Arizona many years ago, that gave a talk based around this same concept. He talked about not throwing the baby out with the bathwater on other foods that can be highly nutritious, even though they're not entirely raw. And I wasn't exactly ready for that message at that point in my life, although I started thinking more about eating more heat processed foods at that point because of his talk. But nowadays, years later, I've seen, the wisdom to what he was teaching, and that's what I am now sharing with you. So we got another whiteboard episode. I love my whiteboard episodes. And you can see why raw vegan works, right? And there's primary and secondary reasons, right? Here's the main primary reasons in my personal opinion. Number one, why it works is because you're no longer eating processed foods. No more processed foods, right? You nix the processed foods. I mean, even if you go vegan, right? You could go vegan and still eat tons of junk food and processed foods and, things that are crap for you and not heal and not get the health benefits, right? There's other diets out there that just simply eliminate the processed food, such as the carnivore diet, where people have claims online to heal from meat. I've healed this, I've healed that, from eating only meat, right? Once again, well, hey, meat, it can have some nutrients in it. I think long-term is detrimental to your health for sure. That being said, people that are on a strict carnivore diet are not eating processed foods, which are a huge problem and a reason for many diseases and illness. If people just give up the processed foods, right, they'd be a whole lot better off. Even a lot of keto diets that advocate a whole food keto diet, or my other comrades who advocate for a whole food diet, right, a lot of people get healing results, both testimonials and, some more limited amounts in published studies, all right? So that's number one, right? What are you leaving out? It's the processed food, and there's not many raw vegan influencers that'll tell you this. There's a handful of them that I could think of that really talk about, hey, really it's working because it's what you're leaving out, all right? So the next reason why the raw vegan diet works is because you're eating whole food. You're not eating factionalized food. You're not eating things out of package, bottle, and jar for the most part. You're eating whole, real food, right? That is critical. I mean, once again, if you're on a carnivore diet, you're eating whole, real food, hopefully, whole animal parts, which is gross to me, and animals do not need to die so you can live, in my opinion. That being said, we're eating whole food. I'm sitting here in my garden. You guys can see, I mean, I got Napa cabbage there. I got a whole thing of sugar snap peas that grow basically all the leafy greens I need during this time of year. I have amazing salads, and you're eating whole foods, whole fruits, whole vegetables, maybe some nuts and seeds sprouted, maybe other whole food sources like some herbs and spices, maybe some kind of sprouted grains or beans, and maybe some seaweed. These are all whole foods. This is not like white extracted sugar and all these different things. Of course, you know, there are some raw vegans that even add things like coconut sugar, which I would consider a processed food. You know, those are not optimal in my opinion, but for the most part, raw vegans eat a whole food diet, which is another one of the primary reasons for why it works. Now, of course, the third primary reason is that it is minimally processed, and I put raw/minimally processed, right? You know, here's the thing. While raw food, you know, dogmatism is great, you know, I've learned, especially in the talk that Dr. James Sheraton gave many years ago, that, you know, raw, while it is quite important, right, it may not be the overlying factor on why people heal on a raw vegan diet, right? I definitely agree with minimally processing your food, and definitely keeping your food raw does give it some additional advantages, and in some cases disadvantages, you know, compared to other style diets out there. But nonetheless, the whole main point is that you're eating a minimally processed diet. The more man messes with the whole food to process it, the more it changes, the more our bodies cannot recognize it, the more our bodies cannot utilize the fibers that were supposedly or supposed to be in the food, or the different phytonutrients or vitamins and minerals that gets basically leached out and lost during the processing. So, you know, when you're eating a raw vegan diet, you're keeping very high amounts of, you know, nutrients in the food because you are minimally processing that. And I have all kinds of other videos where I go more in depth into the processing of the raw foods. And you know how some processes can keep more nutrition than others. You know, these days I'm not a big fan of dehydration, which is promoted commonly in the raw vegan movement, because it keeps things under 118. That being said, it highly oxidizes it in an oxygen-rich environment, blowing warm air over it, lowering significantly certain nutrients. Linked down below to my video where I discussed this in the freeze dryer episode. I'm an advocate for freeze drying food because that processes more minimally or less the food than dehydration, because it does it in an oxygen deprived environment. Likewise, I'm not a big fan anymore of traditional blending, where you're blending in tons of oxygen and you're bombarding your phytonutrients and different oxygen sensitive nutrients with lots of oxygen that then can lower the nutrition of whatever you're blending. Once again, that is another form of processing by blending up things and losing phytonutrients, and more importantly, you know, supercharging things like enzymes. So you're thinking, John, enzymes are good, but no, there are good enzymes and there are bad enzymes, right? Polyphenol oxidase is an enzyme that is sped up through oxygen, and a recent published study talked about like blending bananas with berries, and when you drank a banana berry smoothie, for example, we wouldn't get the polyphenol benefit in our blood, right, from drinking the smoothie, because the banana polyphenol oxidase basically oxidized all the polyphenols so that we did not get the benefit. That's why I only recommend vacuum blending these days. I know still a lot of you guys haven't heard about that. Link down below to my video on how you guys could turn the Vitamix or BlendTech blender into a vacuum blender simply and easily, since I know most of you guys own BlendTech or Vitamix already. And of course, I'm not a big fan of high-speed juicers, which is the common juicer that you could get at a Walmart, the Breville juicer. They run super fast, oxygenate the juice, once again, lowering nutrition. Once again, I'm into dialing in how I process the foods, the most effective ways to get the most nutrition and most benefits out of it. For me, this is something you're not going to hear on other raw vegan channels. So while you're at it, I encourage you guys to click that subscribe button and make sure you click the bell so you get notified as my new videos come out, to hear the latest cutting edge technology and information on eating a raw vegan diet that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Of course, links down below to some of my videos. I mean, the past, talking more about food processing, such as juicing versus cooking your food, the pros and cons to each one. So those are the main primary reasons why a raw vegan diet works. And this is just not exclusive to a raw vegan diet. You could eat a whole food plant-based diet, and then you could also eat no more processed foods. You also be eating whole food, and hopefully on a whole food plant-based diet, you're also minimally processing food. Unfortunately, that's not often talked about in whole food plant-based diets, how you actually prepare the food, heat it, cook it, or whatever you're gonna do with it. Likewise, you could be on a carnivore diet, right? You're also eating no processed foods. You're eating real whole foods. Hopefully you're not eating any kind of preserved animal meat products. Those are cancerous and causes all kind of problems. And hopefully you're also minimally processing your animal foods. You know, hey, you go out and hunt and kill a deer and you fry it up on your grill or whatever, right? I mean, that's still not the healthiest, but nonetheless, that's still minimally processed compared to, you know, it going to a factory and all these crazy things getting done to it, getting injected with, you know, nitrates and salts and all these preservatives, okay? That being said, other diets that also do these primary reasons can also have amazing health benefits and have many testimonials online. A matter of fact, I see videos all the time like, oh, it's no longer raw, vegan, and I went carnivore, and now I got health benefits, right? And once again, you know, they're aligning with these three primary reasons, right? Now let's go even deeper than just the primary reasons, because beyond primary reasons, which are definitely good, and a lot of things just using these primary reasons alone will get you to your healing point depending on your specific, you know, thing going on with you and your body. That being said, there's some secondary reasons that are critically important, in my opinion, that where, you know, raw foods and certain other diets have a really distinct advantage. So number one is that you're no longer eating any trigger foods. Things like dairy, grains, and peanuts. You know, do you have a peanut allergy? Are you gluten intolerant, right? If you go raw vegan, you're automatically not eating dairy because it's not vegan. You're basically pretty much not eating grains because in most a raw vegan diet, you know, sprouting grains is actually not even talked about. Even like Ann Wigmore barely sprouts any grains anymore. And of course, peanuts are something that you should not be eating raw. They can have aflatoxin, and normally they need to be heat processed, you know, although some raw vegans eat peanuts. Nonetheless, you're not eating these trigger foods that can cause some digestive upset and problems in other people. And once again, certain other diets, such as the carnivore diet, I'm picking on the carnivore diet, once again, will also eliminate these foods, especially the dairy foods, right? Next up, this is very important, actually. This is something a meat diet does not have, or an animal product diet does not have. Increased fiber consumption. This is huge, guys. You guys don't understand. The microbiome is so important for our health. Link down below to my video where I discuss, you know, all the impacts that the microbiome can have. This is new emerging technology. Not many even plant-based channels discuss this. Nonetheless, raw food channels discuss how your microbiome literally has its tentacles around every one of your different body systems and can affect your health. But when you're eating increased amounts of fiber, right, and hopefully eating a variety of different foods, microbiome experts recommend at least 40 different types of foods a week, right? You're eating lots of different kinds of varied fiber, which just eating that alone may help to modulate your microbiome and improve it over where you were. If you were eating a junk food diet, a processed food diet, an animal-rich diet, carnivore diet, and you're not eating fiber-rich foods and you go on a raw vegan diet, oh my God, your microbiome is getting so happy because now you're actually feeding the bacteria that in our guts that are good, that are going to do the good stuff, that are going to help turn your health around. Proven by science, guys. You know, so like my point now is, you know, as much as a raw vegan diet, you know, can help feed your microbiome, my question is, can we do better? And, you know, you'll have to watch my other videos for that because I believe yes. But nonetheless, just eating raw vegan alone, secondarily, you're going to increase your fiber and benefit your microbiome, which is a component that is helping you heal and get results on this diet. Another reason for the raw vegan diet working, so they claim, is that the food is not heated above 118 degrees and has enzymes. You know, my ideas about this have changed a little bit since I started in the raw vegan diet, especially when I heard Dr. James Sheridan talk, and he talked about leukocytosis, right? He said, what I learned when I was young was that if you eat anything that's cooked over 118, it'll cause digestive leukocytosis, which is basically an increase in your white blood cell count. And, you know, I hear raw vegans still say this to this day. And, you know, while that's great and dandy to hear and repeat what you've learned, what was written in books, right? Dr. Jameith and other raw vegan doctors out there that have done testing regarding this, you know, prove that claim false. You know, even if you eat the worst junk vegan cookie and then do test your blood to do a white blood cell count, right? It does not increase the white blood cell count as some raw vegans would say. But what does increase your white blood cell count are foreign proteins. So non-vegan foods will cause digestive leukocytosis because that's a foreign protein coming into your body, whereas even the worst cooked vegan cookies from the health food store, when they did the test, did not increase the leukocytosis. That being said, we shouldn't just go out and eat junk food vegan cookies because they're not a whole food and they're highly processed, all right? So, and the other thing is, of course, the enzymes. You know, enzymes in the raw vegan movement are looked as good things. Hey, enzymes help us digest our food. Hey, that's one function of enzymes. Enzymes can also help us clear our blood and do so many other different functions in the body. You know, but here's the thing. Enzymes can also be bad. You know, for example, polyphenol oxidase, which is in bananas, right? If you put it in a blender with berries, it's going to create a lot of the polyphenol oxidase reaction. Those enzymes are going to go to work on the polyphenols and reduce the nutrient content. So, you know, enzymes should be looked at in context. They're not always good. They're not always bad. I guess the question is, what enzymes are there? You know, so another enzyme that's important to me in this day and age are things like myrosinase, which is actually in my brassica family plants. I'm sitting next to my bed with Napa cabbage, white Siberian kale, and the purple mizuna. All these contain myrosinase, and when the myrosinase is basically chewed up by bugs, then it is mixed up and it creates isothiocyanates, which is actually toxic to the bugs. So it's that basically plant defense system. But then when we eat these foods with the enzyme and we chew them up raw, not cooking them, right, we're going to get the isothiocyanates, which have been shown to help us with liver detoxification, as well as our anti-cancer and anti-aging. So, you know, so for that reason, you definitely should not be cooking your things like kale. Of course, other enzymes in the onion and garlic family also have similar properties where you pre-cut your onions, let them hang out for a couple 5 minutes before you eat them raw, will really kind of create some enzymatic activity to make the onions even more anti-cancerous. So that's yet another reason why the raw vegan diet could work, is because it's not heated above 118 and can have benefits, okay? Next up, the raw vegan diet is focused on fruits and vegetables, right? That's a huge one. Unfortunately, most diets on the planet are not focused around fruits and vegetables. I mean, even if you had a whole food plant-based diet, you could be on a bean and grain or potato-based, starch-based diet and still not eat enough fruits and vegetables. That is a huge reason why the raw vegan diet works. Vegetables are the most nutritious food on the entire planet that contain the least amount of calories, right? Fruits are right up there, right after vegetables. Of course, some fruits are more nutritious than others. So I think berries are some of the fruits that you should eat the most. And of course, things like bananas definitely rank lower on my list because they tend to be a little bit more calorically dense than nutrient dense. But nonetheless, that's another really important reason why the raw vegan diet works. It's a diet focused around fruits and vegetables. The other thing I want to mention is that I'm not an advocate for all fruit diets. I believe they can be healthy in a short term, but in the long term can be detrimental to your health as you leach, you know, minerals out of your body. And depending on what you're eating, you may not even be getting enough protein. Link down below to my video where I discuss, you know, how some all fruit diets, people may not be getting enough protein if they're not carefully choosing the fruits they're eating. And nonetheless, let's not forget that eating all fruits, you're missing out on many different plant phytonutrients, especially things like the isothiocyanates in the cruciferous vegetables that I believe to be super important, as well as a lot of different minerals, you know, that are existing in higher quantities in leafy greens than in only eating fruits. All right, on to the next one. Next one is micronutrient rich, right? So fruits and vegetables have lots of micronutrients, including vitamins, minerals, and more specifically phytonutrients. So, you know, if you're eating tomatoes, you're getting the lycopene in tomatoes or in watermelon. You're getting the beta carotene in your cantaloupes or carrots. You're getting the lutein and zeaxanthin in things like kale. You're getting hopefully the anthocyanins in things like purple cabbage, blueberries, and my red lettuce that I love to grow. You're also getting things like betalains if you eat beets, as well as things like cactus fruits, which are one of my favorite fruits in the whole world. You know, nonetheless, fruits and vegetables also are very high in other vitamins and other minerals. And this is something that's not happening on many other diets. You know, certain diets you may get an overload of certain nutrients, you know, on an animal-based diet, you're not going to get any phytonutrients, and I personally believe that is a detriment to your long-term health, and studies have been kind of showing that. So I really encourage you guys to eat a phytonutrient-rich diet. That's really the next level of raw foods that most raw vegans don't even discuss. I try to talk about that a lot because there's so many published studies on the benefits of the phytonutrients, the polyphenols, the flavonoids, and different compounds that the plant makes, not for our benefit, but to its benefit, so it can survive the weather, survive the bugs, battle the pests. You know, very important areas that unfortunately are not talked about is that you're basically eating a phytonutrient-rich diet, and it can be more or less phytonutrient-rich depending on the specific foods that you choose. And let's not forget to mention that some of these phytonutrients, aside from the fiber, also feed our microbiome. For example, there's polyphenols in pomegranates and apple peels that will feed your Akkermansia in your gut that actually helps to rebuild your gut wall integrity, right? This is super critical, and yet another reason why the raw vegan diet could work, because you're feeding your gut bugs that could strengthen your cells in your gut and stop the leaky gut from occurring, which may be a cause of a lot of the ailments out there. Of course, things that'll cause leaky gut, based on my research, are things like glyphosate and all these processed junk foods. So you got to get rid of those as well. Another reason why the raw vegan diet works is because it has life force slash energy slash frequency slash biophotons, right? And some of you guys know what I'm discussing. Some of you guys don't. Science is not really caught up with the, you know, science of energetics of the food and the biophotons. Maybe some countries discuss this more than others, but definitely the US, it's not really discussed. But the frequency, biophotons, or life force, whatever you want to call it, prana or chi, you know, in different Asian cultures, are so critical for our health, in my personal opinion. You know, I'm not going to say there's a lot of science to reflect this. You could look up Carillion photography, you know, for one thing. But what I will tell you guys is this: when I eat food fresh picked out of my garden, or a fresh fallen fruit, or, you know, fruits off my kumquat tree, I'm just like vibing. I'm just feeling the energy. I'm feeling grounded. I'm just feeling high on life from the life of the foods. You know, if you guys don't have a garden, don't have your own fruit trees like I do, I encourage you guys to at least minimally grow your own sprouts or microgreens so you guys could get some of this product of the food in you that is not normally found. I mean, hey, if you're buying apples from the store right now, they were picked last fall, being cold storage, and, you know, hey, there's more life force in an apple that's 6 months old being stored in cold storage in oxygen deprived environments than, say, you know, a cookie or something like that. You could have a lot more vibrancy if you shop your local farmers markets, visit your local farms, or even grow your own food. You know, when I eat food that I grow myself, I find that I need to eat less to be satisfied. I mean, of course, my food has high phytonutrients and vitamins and minerals because I'm supplementing my soil and adding probiotics to my soil. But more importantly, it has the life force energy because I'm just literally picking it and eating it right then and there. Now, another reason why the raw vegan diet works, in my opinion, secondarily, is because it is water rich, right? This is something I've known about for many years, and some of you guys know this too. You know, just being dehydrated can cause many health challenges to crop up. There's a book, The Body's Many Cries for Water. There are some, you know, plant-based speakers these days discussing how dehydration can be a big problem for you and your health. And unfortunately, most people drinking all these different products that'll basically dehydrate you when they think they're hydrating themselves, that are diuretics, you know, coffee and all these different things, you know, eating all these cooked baked goods that have the water cooked out of them, they're dehydrated chronically, and lots of problems can occur because of that. If you're on a raw vegan diet, right, the raw vegan diet is probably the only diet I could think of really that is truly hydrating, because fruits and vegetables have the most amount of water content compared to any other food on the planet. And especially on a raw vegan diet, you're not cooking the water content out of it, like by frying it, you know, by baking it, even worse, you know, or broiling it, or other ways, right? And so the water is going to hydrate you, and let's not even forget that the water in fruits and vegetables is filtered by the plant, and it is also structured water, or what is known as easy water, and it works actually better in our body than just some kind of purified water, distilled water, or even rainwater. That's why these days, my goal is to drink a minimal amount of water. I usually drink between a half a liter or 1 liter of purified, fractionally distilled water. And then the rest of my hydration comes from fresh juices primarily. And of course, I eat plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables as well. And even should I heat process my food in the Instant Pot through steaming, it's still keeping a high percentage of water content, unlike other methods of cooking. So that is yet another reason why the raw vegan diet works, in my opinion, because you are hydrating yourself with every meal. That being said, even if you're raw vegan, you could still eat dehydrated things. And when I first got into raw foods, like 29 years ago, one of my favorite things to do was eat basically date paste slathered on with nut butter. And that's highly dehydrated and definitely was not good for my health, but you gotta live and learn. So these days, my goal is to eat things fresh and minimize the amount of dried foods that I eat. The last secondary reason why the raw vegan diet works, in my opinion, is because it is nutrient dense, and more specifically, it's a low calorie diet with high nutrients, right? Most people in America overeat. You're like, John, how could you say that? That's because most people in America, at least 66% of the people, are overweight, right? If you're eating too much, you're gonna be overweight. When you're overweight, you're damaging your metabolism, you're gonna have metabolic damage. All these other things happen when you're overweight. Your body does not work properly. And now when you go raw vegan, you're eating lower calorie, you're eating whole foods that have a low calorie density, but more importantly, has a high nutrient density. Talking specifically about the micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, trace minerals, and more importantly, the phytonutrients, phytochemicals, right? This is yet another reason why the raw vegan diet works. And everybody says, oh, the raw vegan diet works because it's raw. Like, hey, that was one of the many different reasons why the raw vegan diet works. But in my opinion, it's not even the main reason or the most important reason. So what I've really tried to do today is to get you guys to think for yourselves, right? Not many raw vegan channels will get you guys to think for yourselves. Most raw vegan channels will say, do this, do this, do this. I am the leader. I know what's right. You need to clean your bowels. You need to do a 40-day juice fast. Then you need to go raw vegan or it's not going to work for you. What I'll tell you guys is this. Eat more foods that conform to the list that I shared with you guys, and you will get results, right? This is my 29th year eating a raw vegan diet, and I'm no longer 100% raw, or I never even claimed to be 100% raw. I claim to be 99.9% raw for 25 plus years, but I eat a small amount of heat processed foods in my diet now. And you're thinking, John, heat processed foods, they're bad. If you heat food, it's bad, it's toxic, it's cooked, So I'm just gonna tell you guys, check some of the links down below where I discuss my views on heat processing food. Not all cooked foods are created equal. There's a video I have linked down below, right? Very important to listen to. So for example, like today I was at Whole Foods. I bought some purple potatoes, right? From a farm in Colorado, actually. In the bag, it was a mixed bag. Had purple potatoes plus red potatoes. Yes, you cut them up and they're actually red or pinkish on the inside. Those are my favorite. So let's put those up to my list. Hey, are the potatoes that I'm gonna put in the Instant Pot and pressure cook for 7 minutes, are they processed food? No. Are they whole food? Yes. Are they minimally processed? I would say yes. They're definitely not raw. And I forgot to say, you're eating increased nutrition over your previous diet. Are purple potatoes and red potatoes increased nutrition? Yes. They have anthocyanins. Secondarily, are potatoes a trigger food for me? No. Is it increasing my fiber content? Yes, and actually more importantly, increasing resistant starch content, which I did not discuss because a lot of raw vegan foods don't have high amounts of resistant starch. Link down below my video on resistant starch and how you can incorporate more resistant starch into your raw, or even if you want to start heat processing your food like I do. Is it not heated above 118? My potatoes are heated above 118. So my potatoes do not have enzymes, although I do take an enzyme supplement when I eat my potatoes or right after. And then, is it focused on fruits and vegetables? Yes, potatoes are fruits and vegetables. Is it micronutrient rich? Yes, they're organic, purple potatoes, or I would say they're micronutrient rich. Does it have a life force? Absolutely not. Is it water rich and hydrating? I would say yes. They're steamed, not baked. And is it nutrient dense? I would say yes. So as you can see, even though I'm eating purple potatoes and red potatoes, right? They meet all the classifications except for 2 of them. So does that mean these foods that I'm eating now are completely bad, wrong, and I'm not gonna get the healing benefit? You know, I would say that I think that they are beneficial for me personally. I mean, you guys got to do your own research. If you want to stay stuck in dogma, that is up to you. I'm trying to get you guys to think about the things. And, you know, the more you can eat foods that are aligned to this chart and my whiteboard today, the healthier you'll be. That's all I'm going to say. You know, raw is not the #1 main rule on why the raw vegan diet works. It's one of many rules, right? Once again, just kicking out and stop eating the processed foods, you can get health benefits. A recent video I linked down below, I discussed comparing raw vegan diet to standard plant-based diet and healing benefits, and actually benefits according to the science on a raw vegan diet are very similar to a whole food plant-based diet in terms of healing benefits. That being said, I hope that the science will study raw vegans more, because there's some extra added things that are not happening in a whole food plant-based diet that I feel even to this day are very critical for your health. And that's why I still eat a 80 to 90%, depending on the day, raw vegan diet. For example, today I think it's already about 4 o'clock and I've eaten nothing heat processed. Maybe later I might cook some of those potatoes that I got in the Instant Pot later. If you guys want to learn about what I'm eating that's heat processed, links down below to my original video where I started heat processing my food. And even after 2 years of doing this, I'm still pretty much on the same pace. You know, I haven't gotten some crazy cooked food addictions and gone off the wagon and eaten McDonald's or these vegan junk food places. Those are still junk. They're still highly processed, right? So I want you guys to think critically about this. Don't lock yourself in a box to get the healing benefits, you know, that you're looking for, because the healing benefits are from many different reasons, not just one. And that's the summary of this episode. And what I'd like to know is I'd really love to hear your comments, your thoughts on my discussion topic today. I know some of you guys were going to agree with me. Some of you guys are going to reject what I'm saying, and you're going to stick to your fruit-only diet or stick to your raw vegan diet. And you know what? If it's working for you, go for it. But what I will say also is this. I would encourage you guys to get your microbiome tested, right? That's next level testing. Also, hopefully you guys are already getting your blood tested. And I'm a raw vegan channel that'll tell you guys how to get your blood tested. Link down below. How you guys get a $5 blood test to make sure all your blood markers are accurate. Link down below to my video on how to get your microbiome tested to make sure. I mean, if you're kicking ass in your microbiome test, your blood markers are all good, and you're 100% raw vegan, more power to you. The fact of the matter is I've seen very few all 100% raw vegans that have a kick-ass microbiome and kick-ass blood tests. More often than not, they're not optimal, and you know, it warrants a change in my personal opinion. But I really would love to know what you think. Comments down below. I'd love to hear them. And of course, we could create a community where we can have a dialogue about this discussion topic, you know, and make the world a better place, one person at a time. So if you guys enjoy this content, like my whiteboard videos that you're not going to hear on any other channel with my divergent thinking, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. More importantly, guys and girls, please share this with other people that are eating a raw vegan diet so that they could learn really why it works. I want to give my thanks out to Dr. James Sheridan wherever in the world he is these days. You know, for this idea to bring this forth to you, because he set the groundwork for this, and me, when I heard his talk, that this talk was based on. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes. I've command every 5 to 7 days. You never know what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the bell to get notified as my videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 800 episodes at this time, teaching guys all about the raw vegan diet and eating more fruits and vegetables, a whole food, plant-based diet, nutrient dense as possible. Links down below to some of my videos that I've referenced in this episode that contain a wealth of knowledge as well. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.